Welcome to Wisdom Exchange TV. My name is Suzanne F. Stevens, host and co-producer of Wisdom Exchange TV. We interview women leaders all over Africa, and we are with a leading lady today, Christine Asiko. She's the founder and CEO of Strive International. You just won an award for TIAW for education, which is a wonderful contribution. So it's such a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
So if you were to define leadership, how would you define it?
As a leader, you provide a platform for other leaders to thrive. That's because each one of us has some potential in there. Each one of us knows within us what's right and what's wrong, and whatever way you want to look at it. A great leader is one who serves these other leaders by laying out a platform, giving them a voice, which is what I see myself do for dyslexics, giving them a voice to actually show off their leadership skills. So it's really not about the person, it's about the people. And it's really not a choice, it's a calling.
So what would you say your three leadership lessons that you'd like to share would be?
The first leadership lesson would be that one keeps a distance emotionally to the issue, because emotions trip us up. Okay, so in my case it would be education. And yes, I have painted a very dire picture, but guess what? It's worked. I went through an education system that was all about conforming, and here I am having this conversation with you. Okay, so it's not all bad. It could be different, but you keep an objective view of it is the first thing that I would say. The second thing is you keep people around you that think differently. Always have people who think differently. Always have a different perspective, which means your connections should be wide. Because I'll be sitting with a friend in England and they'll be looking at it all different. You sit with someone from Canada, you sit with someone from Swaziland, everybody has a different perspective. But if I'm not as tied in emotionally to mine, then I can listen to all these other perspectives. And then of course self-belief. You've got to believe that this thing that nags you and keeps you awake at night is worth pursuing. And that at the end of the day, somebody, even if it's 3, will buy into it. And that keeps you going. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
What wonderful pieces of advice. Now, is there somebody, maybe that doesn't embody all those 3 things, but there's somebody that you admire, that you would look up to?
I have a number, but the one that I'm going to pick up on now, because she got me to actually start the work, stop waiting around for help, start the work, was Wangari Maathai, the late Professor Wangari Maathai. Because she said, you start planting the hummingbird, the story of the hummingbird. And one day after she died, I read it again. I thought, oh my goodness.
Now you're talking about her book,
Yes.
which is a fantastic book, which I've had the pleasure when I was in Kenya reading.
Right, reading.
Wonderful woman.
Yes, wonderful woman. So if there's somebody who speaks to me as we have this interview, it's Wangari Maathai. The other thing that I always find fascinating, I remember when she and her husband fell out, and one of his issues was, I want my name back. And she said, okay, you want your name back? Fine. She put in an extra A in the name and said, you can have your name, I'll keep this one. And it's about, the word isn't compromising, but it's about resolving issues in a simple way so you can focus on the big thing. Yeah. Don't be deterred by these smaller battles. Focus on the big one.
If there was something that you could do,
Yes.
anything, the world's your oyster, that you haven't done yet, what would you like to do?
I would like to, actually, if there's anything I would like to address the world. I don't know in what way, but to say to them that conforming isn't getting us anywhere. It isn't. It isn't getting us anywhere. Can we revisit these structures? Or can we let go of them and just allow? I would love, that would be my speech the day. You can see me up there telling the world, hey guys, it ain't working.
Well, it's an excellent message, and as I put conferences together in Africa, I'll let you know.
Good. Yes, I look forward to those. That would be nice. That would be nice.
Now, I know you have a daughter that's 18.
Yes.
And let's say she's 10 years old today.
Yes.
And knowing all that you know, this wealth of information, what words of wisdom would you give to your 10-year-old daughter?
I would, and I do very often, is say to her that it's okay to be different. It's absolutely okay to be different. It's okay to have an issue around the way one person is speaking to another. It's okay for you to have an issue around the fact that the women will be slogging. She had quite a fit over this. The women will be slogging in the kitchen over Christmas, and the men are sitting across having a drink. But when it came to having their hands washed, the men wouldn't even get up to wash their hands. The girls were told to then take water to them, and she had a fit. I said, well, that's okay. That's okay.
What do you wish you were told at 10 years old?
I wish that I wasn't laughed at when I said certain stuff. So it wasn't so much telling in terms of the words, but the reaction to things. And today I look back, and actually there were pretty heavy stuff, and maybe the environment wasn't necessarily right for them. But if I was asked a question and that's the answer I gave, I often had this reaction of laughter. What is she on about? And so that pulls away at confidence, and soon you stop saying stuff and you think, okay, I'm going to keep it to myself. But it's all in there. It's all in there. Yeah, so that's the one thing that if people just were more receptive.
And what are your words of wisdom to African women?
To my sisters, I urge them to really define themselves, to really sit down and think about who they are, what their values are, and how that affects them as people, affects their families, and affects their communities. And the reason why I say that is because the African woman has multiple identities. Many of those have been written. They're scripts that are written out for my sisters, and we go by them. Because African women have multi-identities that actually many times have been prescribed, it is so easy to lose yourself in it. And therefore making decisions becomes a very difficult thing to do. But if you're clear about who you are on your own, then what you choose to do, how you choose to say things, who you choose to say it to, all fall into place. Now, a lot of women may ask, but how do we do that? Because I've just described these multi-identities and multiple roles that they have to live through. How do I do that? And the one thing that society allows African women is prayer. You know, as long as you're going to pray, oh yeah, add me into that. You know, pray for me as well. Go to church. Often you'll see the men sitting around, but you go to church and pray. You know, what are you doing? So take advantage of that. Have your prayer, you know, your conversation with God, but have your conversation with yourself too. And once you begin to familiarize yourself with conversations with self, and society knows that you're a prayerful woman, and it starts with 20 minutes and an hour and 2 hours, or morning and evening, within that, you will find you. And when you emerge, you can share.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Of
Thank you.
wisdom.
And thank you for this opportunity.
Well, thanks for joining us. This is